Good mid-morning. It is Monday, and this is my gonna be my 8th day of diving. I'm diving in the afternoon today, and excited for it. I had a really nice Sunday. Got to kayak out to an island where there wasn't anybody on it, and that was really beautiful. And snorkeling is so much fun. You know, you can do it anywhere, anytime down here pretty much, and there's just such beautiful fish. And saw a hot pink fish that really caught my attention. I don't know the name of what it is, but I was like, oh, I love that fish. And then there's this fish that's got blue and teal and green on it. It's just this little baby guy, and I keep seeing those, and I'm really fascinated with them. And it's just really nice to be in such warm, beautiful water. It's really peaceful. And then being able to look up at the stars tonight. There's better visibility here than there is where I live in the States, but I've seen also more starry nights in places like Montana. But still very beautiful because it's also just really quiet here. And I realized how much I really long to have a private existence. So here I am recording YouTube videos to have reflection, because there's a piece of me that likes this, you know, sharing my experience to the benefit of others. At the same time, I also really like when there's no noise, like none, and no light intrusions, and just nature. That's it. And you can have that experience here, and it's beautiful. I really like also this idea of swimming every day, at least if I can't dive, swimming. It's just the act of going under the water is a real shift for me and whatever's going on. And I like the idea of building a life of routine around that, and consistency, security, safety, so that as the emotional work continues, I can really participate in that better. I'm sure that my cortisol levels are drastically reduced, if not completely gone. At the same time, I am still very much in a process of emotional transformation. And I got to talk to my therapist today, and I haven't talked to her yet since I've been here. And I realized how much I missed that, because she knows me, right? She has been working with me for several years now. And so it was wonderful to share the wonderful, exciting, and positive things that have been happening here. You know, she's got access to my videos that I've been recording, and just really affirming about that. And we talked about how I had 2 nights in a row of really solid sleep and waking up happy to get going again. And then last night, that really was not the case for me. It was still better sleep than I've had before, but I did toss and turn at some point before the sun came up. And then I woke up groggy, and it's taken a while for me to get the coffee going and just start moving and doing stuff. And I think I might have been having a tough dream. I don't know for sure what was going on to cause that, because I don't remember the dream, and I was too low energy to write it down. And I don't know that it's necessarily anything to do with PTSD. It could be that there's a lot of emotional processing that needs to occur, and it's all kind of bubbling up really fast now, the more that I spend time here. And I was talking to my therapist about how that feels like a disappointment. And she said, okay, well, what is the story that you're telling yourself when you wake up and you feel like that? And I said, well, I guess the story I'm telling myself is, okay, you had 2 nights of great sleep and you woke up good the next day, and now you had one that just really wasn't so good and you've had a hard time coming out of. And the story I'm telling myself is, you have failed. That you have failed, that you shouldn't be having that kind of a night, and something you've done or didn't do is causing you to have that experience. And you're supposed to be getting better here 100%. And the fact that that happened means that you have failed. And she just challenged me to rewrite the story. And I've talked to her a lot about my experiences, and then shared a little bit about my admiration for William Trubridge, who is one of the world's foremost free divers, who I did get to meet at the Blue Hole. He has to keep very careful around people because he can't get COVID, because that would be really detrimental to his career as a free diver. But I just admire free divers a lot, because I feel like there's a process of suffering that they have to go through in order to do what they do. And scuba divers are not necessarily in that place, right? It's certainly can be fear challenging, and there's a lot you have to do to be a good scuba diver, and some sacrifices that you have to make, but I think it's a much harder road to be a free diver. And so I can relate a little bit more to what their experience is, because I know what it's like to suffer. And my therapist's invitation was just be present for the suffering. You didn't have a good night and you don't feel good this morning. Be present for the suffering. And I thought that was really good wisdom, because then it's like you're not making a judgment on it. You know, it just is what it is. And healing, I've been told, is it's not a vertical line. It's this. You know, it's a climb, and sometimes you take a step back before you take a step forward. But I do feel like it's going more like this now than it was before I came here. Before I came here, it was just like I'm beating my head against a wall. I'm not going anywhere. I'm stuck in a hamster wheel. And now it's like, okay, yeah, you've had a crap morning, but you know you got a dive to look forward to today, and maybe it'll be different tomorrow, and you still really love dying, so you have something to wake up for, be happy about in that respect. But you also have to be present for the suffering, and I have to give up this this self-deprecation that I did something wrong. Number one, I've got really strong medications pumping through my system, and there's biochemical processes that I do not understand that are happening in me. Those medications could be helping, and they actually could be hurting at this point. I don't know. Number two, I have lots of repressed emotion, and that's just very obvious because I cry a lot and I have really intense dreams about things that are actually tied to real things in my life that need some emotional processing, and I'm unable to be with all of it so fast. So we're just starting to make a list of these are the things I need to process through when I get back. And then I also have to change expectations and let go of societal expectations, right? Society wants to see a before and an after, and they want 100% improvement, and it's got to look this way, because otherwise, you know, it's just not good enough. And that's just not what healing is going to look like for me. I don't know what it is for other people, but I have a hunch that a lot of people who go through trauma, depression, anxiety, and stuff like that, your healing is a journey, and it's not a vertical line. And you can't necessarily heal in a moment. Trust me, I've prayed for a miraculous moment. I've envisioned a miraculous moment. And maybe it still will come, but it's possible that the moment is really being stretched out, you know? What I want in a single second, and the time scale of eternity in the universe, is actually happening at a very quick rate in that perspective, but I'm not seeing that I'm in it, even though it isn't happening like that. So it's okay to go ahead and cry. Some crying can feel like this isn't productive, and some crying is a release, like, you know, a discharge. A process has happened, and you feel really good afterwards. And so that's our work, is to continue to figure out, okay, how do we work with that pain? And I'm knowing that after leaving here, I've probably still got at least 1 year of work to do around emotional processing, and I'll be better prepared to do that work not having PTSD run the show, right? So that was pretty much the gist of my therapy appointment today, and my honest confession with you, which was, I thought, well, maybe I should hide this from people. Maybe I should tell them that I had a bad night. Maybe I should, this isn't what people want to hear. It's not what they want to see. This isn't what they supported, and I'm going to let people down. But then I'm like, well, that's really doing a disservice to myself, right? Because I'm faking something that isn't real. And it's also doing a disservice to the hundreds of thousands of people struggling with PTSD, and they're gonna feel like they have to have a vertical line up in their progress. And I don't think that's the reality for most of humanity. Some people might get that, and that's awesome and great, but other people, it's just not that case, and that's okay. It's okay that it's not that way, and you just have to be present for the suffering and the challenge of it all. I don't imagine that someone who's a free diver like Mr. Truebridge, might be able to accomplish something really great one day, a depth that he hasn't gone to before, being able to hold his breath for a period of time unlike any other time, and then what if 3 weeks later he goes and tries to do that again and it doesn't happen? Is he sitting there thinking I'm a failure? I don't think so. I don't think there's room for that kind of thinking. It just is what it is, and you adjust and you reflect and you process and you just keep doing. And it's sort of the same with yoga. People I know who do yoga might have a really great practice, where they just really feel good afterwards, and they got those positions and got max benefit. And then the next day you go and do yoga and you're falling and you're crying and you can't hold a position, and you don't necessarily get out of it what you got out of it the previous day. So it's letting go of that expectation that healing is something that you obtain in a moment, and then you have it forever and you're always in that good spot, because it's just not realistic. It's not the experience of humanity. And even in faith-based traditions, you can have this great experience with your higher power, and then the next day there's nothing. There's nothing. There's people who see miracles happen, and then they pray for someone else, and no matter how much they believe and have faith, the miracle doesn't occur. And so there's so much judgment that comes with that. What am I doing wrong? I've failed somehow. And it's letting that go. That's not helpful thinking in this process. Be present for the suffering and be there. Accept it for what it is with no judgments tied to it. And then continue to just do your work and be there with it. So that's all I wanted to share this morning. I'm hoping for a really good dive experience today, and that it'll be a unique one that will add to my overall experience and my journey thus far, and that I'll just be honest with myself about what it is and what it isn't, and be able to know that, I'm on a journey. So there's mountains and there's valleys, So anyways, that's all I wanted to share this morning. And I hope everyone has a good start to your week, and I look forward to sharing after my dive what that was like. So have a good Monday.